Right, gang, we've got a whistle-stop tour of sales process. So I profoundly believe that having a great sales process will help you make more money, grow your business, and be more successful. And I'm here to give you a kind of bit of a blueprint for creating that. There's going to be a bunch of different ideas that I share with you. It's going to be really interactive, and we kind of practiced the annotate thing earlier on because I want you to do it on some of the slides that we're going to go through. But remember, Jamie, it's being recorded, so please only do it when I ask, rather than writing knob on the slides as we go or something like that. That wouldn't be appropriate.
I can't believe you said that whilst you're being recorded.
So before we start, I want to ask a question. How many of you have got an existing sales process? You can either put it in the chat or you can use the tick on the annotate or something like that. How many of you have got an existing written down sales process that you follow? One person. Still, Caroline, is that X mean no I haven't, or yes I have?
There's a lot on the chat saying
there's
yeah.
a lot on the chat. All right, fine, I'm looking at the chat, so I'm just going to assume that there's a balance 50-50 because I can't see the chat because I can't do more than one thing at once. So let's assume then that it's a balance, and I can't see, but when I say the word sales to you, what feeling does that bring up? Does it fill you with dread? Are you excited by it? Does it mean money to you? What does it mean? The word sales, what does it mean? So shout out some of these so I can interact.
Okay. Opportunity, necessary, opportunity, hard work, long lead time. Mine isn't, oh no, that's something else. Engagement, scorn and hatred.
Scorn and hatred. Wow, powerful feelings.
Excitement, relationship building. There we go.
Ick. Okay, someone put ick up there. Love that. Okay, cool. So here's the thing. Before you start selling, I think it's absolutely fundamental that you do two things. We're going to cover the third thing, the process, today. I think most importantly, you need to identify who it is that you absolutely want to sell to. You need to get really clear on who your customer avatar is, what they look like, where they are, how much money they've got, what sort of business they are in, and you need to get really clear on that. I'm not going to talk about it in any detail other than to say that we've got a previous workshop on our YouTube channel which talks about that stuff, and we've got some worksheets that you can use. I also think it's really fundamental that you have or create a system to track this stuff. I've been in sales for almost all of my life, and I used spreadsheets for months of the years that I've been in sales. So I think it's really, really important, and I would encourage every single one of you to find a basic CRM if you've not. There's a brilliant one for free called HubSpot that you can use, and that gives you a great way of collating the people that are in your pipeline, and we're going to talk about pipeline in a little bit more detail in a minute. And then finally, you need a process to make sure that the most customers come out the bottom of the funnel or out the back of your process. You need a process which includes a bunch of different touch points or touches. So we're going to talk about that in more detail as we go. Another little interactive one. How many times do you follow up with a prospect? So someone tells you that they're interested in your product or service, and then you go, hey, great, let's meet and talk and do a proposal and stuff like that. How many times on average do you follow up with the prospect before you decide not to pursue that anymore? I love it. 1, 2, 3, 5. Good. So there's a good range. Anyone do more than 5? If there's anyone that does more than 5, put it to the right hand side. So what's the chat saying?
That's sort of 3, 1 to 4. Liam says, I do until I get an answer.
Great,
2,
love
3,
that.
3.
Love that. Okay, perfect. So that's great. I want to introduce you to a concept that should be in your mind as you think about sales. So when you have a sales interaction with someone, so you know that someone is potentially interested. You've got a website product, and you've got a customer or a prospect, a suspect, a prospect that you believe wants what you have. There's this guy called Tom Hopkins who wrote the book Selling to Win, and a bunch of other sales books, and he talks about the 4-step process to making more sales. The first step is build trust. Very early on in the process, you must build rapport and trust. You need to demonstrate credibility that you are the person that can do what they need you to do. The second step is to really identify that there's a proper need there, because just because someone pops up for air and says, oh, I need a website at some point, or my website's crap, doesn't necessarily mean that the pebble in the shoe has turned into the nail in the foot and they're ready to buy right now. So you must identify the need and the timeline for that need. If you just think that they're interested and they let you go through the proposal process and you propose and they're not quite ready, it'll go to the bottom of their pile of stuff to do. You've proposed, you think that they were interested, but the reality is they weren't ready. You must identify the need and timeline. Once you've done that, you need to clearly demonstrate how you can help them. So what makes you the best solution to solve their pain point, their problem, in the time that they need it? And then finally, and I have been burnt by this so many times, you've got to get them to hurry up. Time will kill deals. Fact. When someone is motivated to buy, you need to get them to the point where you've handled the objections and you get them to hurry up. It's happened to Sarah and I so many times where we're like, oh, we're not salesy, we don't put hard sell on anyone, and they go, yeah, I'm really interested, and then they go, yeah, I'm really interested, and by the time that the group's ready to form, they're like, yeah, it's not for me anymore. And I'm like, that's annoying. Get them to hurry up, get them to commit and make the decision. It is my profound belief that most small business owners need a bit of a mindset shift. And what you guys just talked about earlier on makes me really sure that that's the case. I'm going to talk about that next. So we saw some people follow up once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, but 48%, according to the FSB, I found it on their website, never follow up with a prospect. Only 25% of people make a second contact and stop, 12% make 3 contacts and stop, and only 10% of people make more than 3 contacts. I'm not sure that it's correct, but factually correct, but my experience tells me that it probably is. Only 10% of contacts make more than 3 contacts. But here's the reality, according to the FSB. 2% of sales are made on the first contact, 3 on the second, 5 on the third. So those of you that said, I follow up 3 times and stop, you've only got a 5% chance, typically, if we listen to these, of actually making the sale. 10% on the 4th and 80% on the 5th or more. And in my experience, it actually feels like 5th to 200th rather than the 5th to 12th, which is what this slide originally said. I think that people need a lot longer and a lot more touches in my industry than some others. So here's why I think that it's interesting that we have this this mindset shift. Have any of you come across a guy called Daniel Priestley before? He wrote loads of good books, actually, Key Person of Influence being one of them. And he talks about the rule of 7, 11, 4. When you want to become, and this is being a key person of influence, but if you swap key person of influence with person I absolutely trust to do what I need them to do and deliver a product or service that I'm absolutely going to be happy with, he says that a person to become the trusted person needs to have 7 hours worth of interaction with that person. So I need to be in your zone of influence for 7 hours, and that could be me, that might be you reading 7 hours of my blogs, or watching 7 hours of our videos, or coming to 7 hours worth of networking in, or whatever. But he says that you must get 7 hours worth of interaction with a person. You absolutely need to have that over multiple interactions. It's not enough to just have 7 hours watching one video and then make a decision. You need to build that kind of the level of trust that needs to come in frequency. So there's repeated proof that this person is the right person. And the most crucial, in my opinion, point is he says you need 4 separate locations. So if you think about when you were at school or college or uni or whatever, or work even, those people who you spent loads of time with, but it was only in the lecture hall, for example, they're probably not still your mates. But those people that you spent that time with, and you actually then went to clubs and you went to cafes and you went to the library and you did other stuff, actually they form much stronger bonds. So the 7, 11, 4 model, I think, is really key. And this is why I think that it's important to have this mindset change. The mindset change comes from, it's not about selling anything to anyone. I think had I been reading the chat, what I think I would have seen is it's dirty, it's used car salesman, it feels a bit ick, that sort of thing. And what I try and get across to people is, if you replace the word sell with the word help, you're in a really good place. Because if you think about it, you're not trying to sell anything to anyone. You're just trying to, and the people in this room, I'm absolutely certain, aren't sharky salespeople who would sell the wrong product to the wrong person just because they could make money. We're the sort of people that want to help someone solve a challenge, or solve a challenge or accomplish a goal. So I think the framing mindset needs to be around, it's not about selling, it's about how can I demonstrate that I can help repeatedly enough over a long enough period of time to make it work. Sales thermometers. If you think about a time when you were cold called or you went into a shop, it is my assumption that when that person phones you, you've got 2 thermometers in your head. The first is skepticism. Someone phones you out of the blue, you don't know who they are, and they're trying to sell me something I don't want to be sold to. Your skepticism is really high, and your level of trust of that person, whether it's in a shop or whether it's on the phone or whether it's wherever, we don't like being sold to. So the key really is, over time, to reduce the level of skepticism as you build the level of trust. And that's why a sales process is so important when you're wanting to build relationships with people that are going to turn into customers at the end. Here we have a beautifully designed pipeline funnel system that you will see in sales presentations up and down the country. And essentially you put in loads at the top, and often it says 10,000 customers or 10,000 prospects. And then in the middle it says 100 opportunities. And then it says 10 clients and stuff like that. And it kind of does work like that. But I feel like we should all be able to widen the neck of the funnel to actually make a lot more people drop out the bottom, when we acknowledge that it's not 8 touches to make a sale. That's bullshit, in my opinion. It takes much more. It takes many times more touch points to get to that level of trust and at the time that the person wants to buy than 8. You know, it's an arbitrary number. So whilst I kind of agree with the funnel, I feel like we should all be able to widen the base of that curve when we think about the fact that we need to nurture people to a natural conclusion rather than just kind of go bang, 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 bang. Do you want it or not? Yes or no? I'm off. To me, it feels much more like a meandering, winding road. And I know we've had someone, Sarah Santa Cruz, talk about this sort of thing before. But for me, the kind of 2 to 200 touches go something like, you have a great meeting and, you know, you identify that at some point in the future, something might come along. And you need to keep that person engaged for long enough by having these touches, and I call it touches and nice touches. The touches are things like LinkedIn, being on LinkedIn and just showing up in their feed and commenting on their stuff. It's things like newsletters. It's things like the occasional email to just check in. Those kind of things, I believe, if you do regularly, you're more likely to widen the neck or the base of the funnel. But it's these nice touches that actually, in my opinion, make the biggest difference. And they're the things that I want you to think about putting into this sales process that we're going to come on to in a second. What are the wow moments that make you stand out from the from the crowd? That could be things like sending a birthday card or sending some chocolates. It could be things like out of the blue introducing someone to someone because you really believe they'll add value. If you're the person that out of the blue gets an introduction to someone that might turn into a bit of business, you're going to think positively or negatively about the person that's done that. Positively. And what I'm trying to get across is there are natural points in any relationship, whether it's a very quick, I want it, I'm in, or whether it's, I like the idea, but I need more, I need more, I need more, that just by sprinkling some nice touches in, you'll get great results. Because as Erica says, way more eloquently than I can, most of the people that you're going to interact with have got a pebble in their shoe. At some point, they're going to need a new logo or a new website or a voice and speech coach or whatever the hell it is, but it's probably not right now. And if you just pitch, propose, and then stop following up, you've lost the chance to be there when the nail in the shoe bites. So with that in mind, here's a simplified version, in truth, of ours. And what I think you should all be looking to do is create a Kanban board with what are the natural steps in your process right now, because you'll all have them, they just won't be necessarily documented with a process that you can follow. So the first step is to start with that process. And then it's about figuring out what other touches you can put in. So that might be you're going to show up a little bit more on the person's feed by liking more of their stuff and commenting on their stuff. It might be that you decide that once every month you're going to do a newsletter which goes out to them, which talks to the challenges that they've talked to you about. But throughout the sales process, what I want you to think about, so you will all have one of those, and it's literally a case of, even if you do it on an Excel spreadsheet that says suspect, they might be interested. Prospect, they are interested. Meeting, proposal, close, yes or no. That's a basic sales process. And if you put that person's name in prospect and then drag them to suspect and then over to meeting, that will help you keep a track of where they are. But going back to the CRM system, you can do it much more beautifully and simply by having a dedicated system for it. But the key is to expand on that very basic system by putting in these nice touches, the special touches, the things that are actually going to make sure that when the nail in the foot hits, you're the only person that they're ready to talk to. So what are those for you? It would be absolutely remiss of me as a business coach to be talking about sales and not talk about the intrinsic link between KPIs. Guys, I know most people hate doing it and don't have the discipline to do it, but if you want to improve any process, you must record where you're at. So some of the things that you might choose to record are the number of reach outs you make, the number of people in your pipeline at any one time. Has anyone been in a situation where you go, shit, I've got no one to speak to about my products or service? That is a nightmare. I've been there. It's horrible. You don't want it. So number of people in your pipeline, number of phone calls you make, LinkedIn messages, value add, special touches, there's loads. And if you want some advice on it, I can help you with that. But you cannot create a sales process and not have KPIs to back it up if you want to grow. So really conscious of time. So in wrapping up, I think it's really crucial that you put a system in place before you start. I've mentioned HubSpot. I know that Jamie and Simon are absolutely massive fans of, damn, the name escapes me. One of them will shout it out. Begin, thank you. Apparently that is both, but I trust these guys implicitly, and they're both have fallen in love with the simplicity of that CRM system. We use Active Campaign. It's way more lumpy than you probably need if you're just getting going and you're using a spreadsheet or nothing, or paper. I would encourage you to do something, put a system in place. Change the mindset that you have from, I'm trying to sell something to someone, to I just want to add value and I want to help. I want to help you do what you need to do. Remember, you've got to get them to hurry up. But before you get them to hurry up, you've got to get them to trust you. You must identify that they've got a need that you can solve, and demonstrate how you can help them. Remember the thermometers in your conversations, and just think about when you're having these conversations, where are they? How much skepticism do they have? Do they think I'm trying to sell something, or do they implicitly trust me? Am I 100% trust, zero skepticism, but the time's not right? I just need to continue to touch them. Your funnel, your pipeline should contain lots of touches rather than just 5, which you see often, and increase your chances of sales by sprinkling nice little touches into the process as you go. And then finally, set some KPIs. KPIs will help your business grow exponentially. That's it. I did it. I was only up till 11 o'clock last night.